So welcome. We're super excited to have you here at the Premier Collectible Live Sign. Dad, it seems like we've been here before a few times signing some books.
We have.
We're super excited about you guys being with us. We did the Never Before Told. We talked about there being a big winner of the duck hunt / winner Robertson dinner giveaway. Some lucky person is going to take that home, and we're going to announce that during the live sign. We don't even know. So we're going to get to learn with you who the big winner is. So we're super excited about that. Excited you're here. Encouraging you to get one of our signed copies of I Could Be Wrong, but I Doubt It. And then I love the tagline, Dad, why Jesus is your greatest hope on earth and in eternity. Phil Robertson book.com, of course, is where you go to get these signed copies. And so what we're going to do today on Live Side is we're going to answer some of your questions that are hopefully about the book and other things that may be as well. So we'll just dive right in, Dad. Richard from Iowa says, what made you want to come out with another book? Who or what inspired the content of this book? So why do you want to do one more? And what inspired you to write a book about Jesus being the greatest?
If you understand that God has put you in a position, and your position is preach the gospel. So in order to do that, that motivated me. So all I do for the human race is I point to him, Jesus of Galilee, born, died, raised from the dead, removed your sin, and he'll raise you from the dead. He proved it by his own resurrection.
Yep.
So that's my task. I'm under God's
compulsion.
Edict.
That's right. That's right. So I feel like that when we started this journey, that you never, so a lot of times you start a journey in Christianity where you don't know exactly where God's going to take you.
That's right.
And so we started this with The Theft of America's Soul. Originally, we were going to do 2 books. First one was Theft of America's Soul, which lays out the cultural rot.
Yeah.
Of really where our country is, where the world is to this day. And it's very obvious and glaring, but sometimes you just got to point it out in spiritual terms. And so that's what you did. We didn't really know where we were going next until we got there. And then it was Jesus politics, because so many people think that this is a political fix.
Yeah.
If we get the right party, if we get the right president, if we get the right this, the right that. But in that book, you said, no, that's not going to work. Nope. It's going to take something more. We agreed to do 2 more books. And the 3rd book was called Uncanceled. And this book showed us that when your sins are canceled at the cross, you really don't have to worry about being canceled by the world.
That's right.
Because we have something greater and better. And that led us to what I think is the best book in the series, and they're all good. It's kind of like, who's your best kid? Of course, Dad would say me, but other than that, you say, how do you define that, right? I could be wrong, but I doubt it. Why Jesus is your greatest hope on earth and in eternity. And so
think about it. What do you have to lose if you put your faith in a person who showed up 2,024 years ago,
right,
and we still count time by him,
right,
to this day, worldwide? Well, all I'm showing them is, let's take a look at him, at least, and say, what did he do? He died for the sins of the world. He guaranteed he can raise you from the dead.
Right.
I have to know now.
Well, and I would say, too, that what inspired you with this book? So I watched my dad, as a young boy, I was 10 years old, go from the biggest heathen in South Arkansas, North Louisiana, to John the Baptist overnight. And so Dad got that idea. So I would say his inspiration for the content of this book in particular was from the Almighty himself.
I said, I need to take a look at this. I was 28 at the time. I said, this sounds too good to be true. And the guy who said, check this out in the Bible, Bill Smith, said, well, read your Bible and you'll find out if it's too good to be true.
That's right, exactly. He said, Phil, it's too good for any of us.
Yeah.
But it's true.
That's right.
And that's how we embrace it. And of course, you saw that in the movie too. Hannah from Indiana, Dad said she loves the title of the book. How did you come up with the title for the book?
I saw Jason
In this room, in our podcast studio.
He walked in and on the front of his shirt, it said, "I could be wrong." ...
Well,
I walked around behind him to see what the story was, maybe enlighten the story a little bit, and it wasn't there. I said, "I think I'm going to write a book. I could be wrong, but I doubt it."
And you said, Jay you should have, but I doubt it on your back. And Jay's all like, "Oh no."
Book people said, "Good, nice, that's it. How'd you dream that of?" I said, "Oh, what's that son of mine?"
I like it because it's humble. I could be wrong, but it's also confident, but I doubt it. So when we're talking about Jesus, that's what you need. Humble confidence.
The lives of billions rest on that statement. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. Here's the story.
Yeah. And then
I love them. I don't want them to see it. It is amazing. Once a week, we have a little class right beside the church building up here, and they come from all parts of planet Earth. People do fly in, however they get there. I'm amazed at it, and they want me to baptize them. I asked one of them not too long ago. I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "Samoa." I said, "American Samoa, the island 500 miles from New Zealand in the middle of the ocean?" I said, "That's where you're from?" I said, "You came a long way." He said, "I came for you to baptize me."
Yeah. I love it. PhilRobertsonBook.com. So there's going to be some limited edition, specially signed copies. That's Hunter Green. There's Dad's signature. Some of these are going to come with a really cool camo box set that goes around them. So it's a great thing to get. We're super excited about you being a part of that process. Let me ask you another question. This is from Justin in North Carolina. From the outside looking in, the Robertson family seems to be unfazed by fame. How do you feel that fame has changed your family at all? Has fame changed you?
Fame can't remove your sin or raise you from the dead at all. So my faith is in Jesus. Call it what you will. I mean, my faith, I believe it.
Yeah.
It's the only shot I've got. Now, if someone comes along with a better idea than removing all of the sins that they've committed and the grave, he conquered the grave and raises you from the dead. For those people, what have they got to lose? We all sin and we're all going to die. Right. Jesus said, "I'll solve both of your problems." So
you always told us that the only thing fame had changed about our family, and you in particular, was the menu.
That's right.
Because we're eating a little better. the grade of the steak is a little more,
What's the biggest change in your life? The menu.
And that is really true. So part of my thinking is, Justin, that God had us on a 40-year humility training program to get us ready for fame. Because when we were living on Washita River and commercial fishing and building duck calls and trying to figure all that out, I mean, it took 35 plus years to build that business. And nobody knew who we were or anything about us other than a handful of duck hunters that followed us in that way. And so the Almighty knew that one day we would be famous. But the last thing he would want us to think is somehow we were responsible for that.
Yeah.
So he wanted us to know it came from him.
All the fame in the world can't get you out of the ground.
That's right. Tommy from Florida asks, "What is your favorite thing to do in your spare time besides duck hunting?"
To sit down with someone and point them to Jesus.
Yeah. I would say that's over duck hunting even.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that happens a lot.
They come from miles around.
It's interesting because John the Baptist, who I compared you to earlier, when he came on the scene, he was proclaiming the Lamb of God is coming, because that was his role to do that. And strangely enough, he didn't stay in the cities. He didn't stay in the temple courts. He didn't stay in Jerusalem. He went out in the wilderness. He went out where people had to go find him to hear what he had to say. And that's why I always compare Dad to John the Baptist, because that's really what you did.
If somebody comes along and they says, "We have the way that all your sins will be removed and you can be raised from the dead," you want some of that action? I said, "Lord, whatever I've done up to now, I'm done with it, because I've seen here now that you will raise me from the dead." Well, nobody else is. The doctors are trying it, but are they succeeding in that venture there now?
No, I don't think so. We're still going to face it, right?
Until somebody comes along with a better story.
Yeah.
And a well-documented story. We count time by Jesus of Galilee. Right. Everybody's counting time by him, but not enough, I guess, have figured out he'll get you out of here alive.
Yeah.
I got to know.
Got to know. And you got to tell.
Got to tell.
Linda from South Carolina said, "Who is the most hard-headed of all your kids?"
Oh, Jay's probably the hard head. Jay's is not.
I'm glad you said it because it says I'm one of them. We're all pretty stubborn, Linda. But Jace is the most hard-headed. She's also asked who's the most outgoing. That'd probably be me. Yes. I'm certainly going all the time. And who's the most quiet? And that would have to be Jeff. I'd say Jeff is the most quiet.
Yeah.
He's more reflective. He's sensitive.
It is interesting that the entire Robertson crowd, and I say crowd because it started with 4 sons.
Because he can't remember our names.
And now
we're just a crowd.
When we have a holiday, there's about 50 of us, 60.
Yeah,
60 or 60 of us. And I'm like, good night.
Well, Jace, the hard-headed one, says that we should all wear name tags at Christmas.
The interesting thing is that all 55 to 60 of them, some of them I have trouble with their names. They're being born, and it all coming out of your family line. But it is kind of interesting. Every one of them follow Jesus.
Yeah. And we're all still married to our original spouses.
Still married, no
which
divorces.
Is a great blessing. Yeah, 40 years this year for Lisa.
So don't tell me this won't work because I'm looking at it. It's working.
So my granddaughter is getting married this year, and she will be the 5th generation in my lifetime of a teenage bride in a Robertson family, and we're all still married to the same people.
And I'm heading toward 80. So
are you looking for a watch?
I wanted everybody to know if I never owned a watch, but I would just say on that wrist of mine, I said, time on this earth is running on out on me.
Lincoln from North Dakota wants to know what your best duck hunting memory is.
Well, it's a great memory, but it was so far over the limit, I don't even want to talk about it. I've repented.
I'm not sure that statute
I've repented into how many ducks you should shoot.
What about I'll do this one. This won't get you in any trouble. What was the first memory you had of killing ducks?
My first memory I have, I was 11 years old. I woke up early and I told Mom, I said, Mom, I'm going after some ducks. I said, I'm not going to school today. I'm going after some ducks. Will you cook them for us when I get back? She said, yeah, I will. Get us some. So I take off at 11 years old, walk about 2 miles out of old Browning A5 and put my shells in the gun. And I sit out on the bank of a little lake over there. I was poaching on somebody else's land, but, they knew we were. So I'm sitting there, 3 teal and a pintail were flying together. They came by left to right, made a swoop. And they started coming back. I can remember it like it was yesterday.
And how old were you, 10?
11.
11.
So here they come. Boom, boom, boom. I shoot 3 times. I get 2 of them. One of the teal and the pintail. I shuck my clothes off in the dead of wintertime. Dog paddled, picked up my ducks out there, butt naked. Came back to the bank, put my clothes on, got my ducks, and I jogged all the way home. Opened the door. My dad was sitting there in front of the heater. I said, Pa, I've just struck. I've got some ducks. What are they? He said, you got 1 teal and 1 pintail. Take them around there and let your mama pick them for us and cook them. That was my first duck dinner and my first, I remember it like yesterday.
And it never left you then?
They never left me.
Yep.
I ended up building duck calls for a living.
Yep. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. It's the book we're here to talk about on Live Sign. And they're signed copies. If you go to philrobertsonbook.com and get those signed copies, we're excited to be able to get to offer this because even Dad talked about his whole life has been spent reaching people for Christ. And one of the blessings of books, Dad, is that this is a legacy that you get to leave behind that people are going to be reading for years and years to come, pointing them to the Almighty.
All I want to see him do is love God for what he's done for us, and he's doing it all the time. and love each other, for crying out loud. Love God, love your neighbor. What in the world could be wrong with that?
Yeah. So Sue from Florida says, do you and Miss Kay still live in your same house?
I never run her off out of my house.
Well, she didn't mean to you still have mom. She meant, are you still living in the same house?
Same house.
Yeah.
$28,000. I said, good night. That's a lot of money.
1976.
Yeah, that's 7 acres and then a house.
The country wasn't doing so good. That was about 20% interest back then.
That's a tough country. I said, Miss Kay, can we come up with the money to pay? But that's $28,000. I thought it was the greatest amount.
It was 7 acres of land and 2 houses. When you look back, that's a pretty good price. Of course, I don't know what the inflated dollars would be. I can attest, Sue, they still live in the same house, same one I grew up in. They've updated it a little bit through the years, but it's much like it was when I grew up.
Yeah.
And Dad and Mom have no ambition to move to town or to do anything.
Not at all.
So we've got a 22 questions in 2 minutes, Dad. This is rapid fire. So you just give me your first response. You ready?
Yeah.
Where were you born?
Vivian, Louisiana.
Who would you want to play you in a movie?
Maybe take a few years off of him. It'd be better movie. I would be kind of an Eastwood type.
Well, yeah, I thought you might say so. Although he's older than you now. What was your first job?
Throwing bales of hay up for a farmer who lives, we loaded up trailers of hay.
That was also my first job. What chore do you hate doing? Do you do chores?
Not putting on a suit. I like not owning a suit.
So you actually love that.
Yeah, so.
I guess if you had to wear one. Okay. What is your greatest fear?
Is that I would be dumb enough to reject Jesus Christ. That would be the worst move I ever made.
That's pretty good. And because you've embraced it.
Yeah.
Who makes you laugh the most?
Miss Kay.
Yep,
My woman.
No doubt about it. She's funny. Every time I walk in, she tells me a funny story about you. What is the one thing you need to have in your refrigerator at all times?
Well, at all times, if I could do it, I'd have soak wood ducks in strips and pour
buttermilk.
Huh?
Buttermilk.
Buttermilk. Get over and let it sit there about a couple of days. Come by and dump that out, drain off the buttermilk.
That has to be unique to anybody in the world. Nobody would say, I got to have cut up wood ducks and buttermilk in my refrigerator.
If they ate some, they would make
I concur.
Hey.
What was your favorite school subject?
I don't know. I was a typist. I could really do a typewriter. So the typewriter teacher would let me go in there and teach class.
Would you have ever guessed that? Live signing audience.
Out of type.
He was a typist. It's a shame.
Fingers, I'm picking ducks and whatever.
If only you would have a computer, you could still do it.
Oh, computer. Don't get me started on that.
Who is the most interesting person that you met recently?
I hadn't run into many interesting.
Okay. I
run up on a lot of them with a lot of flaws.
Yeah,
I tell them about Jesus, and
what is your middle name?
Alexander.
Phil Alexander Robertson.
It is not copied on Alexander the Great. It's some of my kinfolks.
They were Alexander. Yeah, because that was a family name.
So don't get me confused with Alexander the Great.
We would never.
I'm far from that.
What is your biggest pet peeve?
Pet peeve?
Yeah, what's something that bothers you that people do?
Gets on your nerves?
Yeah, gets on your nerves. Anything?
Loud cursing.
Loud cursing? All right, that's it. What's your favorite hobby?
My skill set, in fact, hunting and fishing.
Yeah, that's what I would say, definitely. What is your guilty pleasure? Is there something you really love to do that people wouldn't expect or watch on TV? Or
just as long as it's not anti-biblical. It's a bad reflection on Jesus.
You don't like that word guilty there. I get it.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Do you have any hidden talents? Well, we just discovered that, typing. We never knew you were a typist.
I was a typist. Now I'll probably tear the thing up. They don't even have it anymore.
So what color is your toothbrush? Do you have a toothbrush?
I have a toothbrush.
What color is it?
What color is it? It's kind of a pale color.
I wouldn't have guessed that. What's your pet's name?
Bobo.
Bobo number 6.
Every time the current Bobo, every time they die, I have another one within hours.
Yeah, this is 7th.
It's called Bobo. That way you always got Bobo.
There's always a Bobo. What's your favorite word?
My favorite word, I would say Jesus.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Which, by the way, that goes right along with Could be wrong, but I doubt it. Why Jesus is your greatest hope. What is, this is funny. What is the last album you bought or streamed? Did you know you could stream an album?
I don't get to town but once a week, and I stay with armed guards these days. I got armed guards up there, guns, and they're there to protect me.
I got it.
And I appreciate that.
What's the last gift you gave?
The story of Jesus, his death, for his burial, and resurrection.
Are you sensing a theme here with that? What cause is dear to your heart? Is there a cause that's...
Preach the gospel, encourage people who are having difficulty.
Yep.
Love your neighbor.
So what's your greatest achievement?
When I decided to follow Jesus.
Yep. And,
no doubt.
And where do you want to go that you've never been?
Heaven is waiting on us, and we're guaranteed we'll be raised from the dead. I'm like,
I think you get the idea.
I don't know whether there are any ducks in heaven, but I just be in there.
You're hoping there is, right? Yeah. I think you see that Dad is spiritual minded, is a fair way to say that. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. I want to encourage you guys, of course, to get the book, the signed copy, as long as those will hold out for you. PhilRobertsonBook.com. Could be wrong, but I doubt it. Signed copy. And so now's the big moment we've all been waiting for. And the winner is, it's coming on the screen right now. There they are. And you're coming hunting with us. We're going to get everything ready for you. It's going to be a great time. Looking forward to meeting you. So that's a wrap, Dad. It's always good to do a live sign with you guys. We're super excited about it. PhilRobertsonBook.com.
Hey, this is John Acuff, New York Times best-selling author of 7 books and someone who's done a live signing. If you like the one you just watched, make sure you check out our YouTube channel. It's full of amazing authors having great conversations and signing books for viewers just like you. So make sure you subscribe, and thanks for watching today.